All right, we are back on MorningLine. With us this morning is David Hairston, Safe Access Tennessee. He's here to answer some questions. He's obviously an advocate for legalizing medical marijuana in the state of Tennessee. Medical, not recreational at this point.
Yep.
Real quickly, before we get to the phone calls, as I said, you hear the facts and the information here, and you want to bang your head against the wall. You're like, it's there. So what is the issue? Why is this not happening? And I think we have to be fair here in that what we're talking about is a sea change, dating back misinformation to the 1930s and the movie Reefer Madness and what was taught and how slowly we have long held beliefs that even in the face of new evidence that contradicts them, it's just hard for people to let them go, right? Let's be fair on that front. It's going to take time.
Absolutely. And, I think the American people are waking up to this.
Yeah.
We know from, say, Vanderbilt's polling, the most recent Vanderbilt polling is that about 80% of Tennesseans want this for medicinal use. So we should really take and consider how effective that Reefer Madness campaign, that fake news campaign of the 1930s is still believed. We still have people who regurgitate the lie of the gateway theory, that somehow if one uses cannabis, one is going to turn into a drug addict. It is a complete falsehood.
Yeah.
It is wrong.
Right.
So, I can appreciate the fact that some people still believe that, but we all need to wake up to the facts, and our law enforcement establishment needs to wake up to the reality of where the citizenry of the state of Tennessee
Well, and that's what it's going to come down to. And you are right. There are lawmakers out there right now that still say, oh, I can't vote for this gateway. I'm not going to legalize another vice, blah, blah, blah. Look, if their constituents all of a sudden demand it, all these lawmakers are going to flip and fold like a cheap lawn chair and vote for it. They're just going whatever they think their constituents are going to do so they can keep their seats safe. So many of them that are against it will flip like that. Unfortunately, most of them don't have the will to do what's right anyway, instead of trying to educate their constituents.
Well, that's what Safe Access Tennessee is about. We have 12 political action groups spread around the state, specifically designed to get people to call their legislators right now, this year, and say, let's vote for the Medical Cannabis Only Act. We're only asking for medicinal use of a product that has been used as medicine by man for 4,000 years. The fact that the federal government has lied about this product and plant since 1930 really shouldn't be given any credence, because modern scientific evidence, the founding of the endocannabinoid system in the human body, this is a scientific fact that we each of us has an endocannabinoid system that is designed to receive cannabis as a medicine or a food.
Okay, and again, nothing that's going to make you high. And the big thing for me, as I said, I've used CBD oil legally obtained here in the state of Tennessee. Come arrest me, whatever. And for me, it's just for muscle aches or something like this. And again, it's something I've gotten legally in Tennessee. It was manufactured at MTSU. But the big thing for me is when I hear about these poor children that have seizures, that their parents desperately want to try something different than the horrible adult medicines that basically just put their kids in a coma so they don't seize. And they can't use the CBD oil here because if they get tested here and it comes back positive for cannabinoid, they lose their 10-care, DCS gets involved, all this kind of crap. So what they have to do is up and move to Colorado. And I did a profile on a family. And not long after they got their child there to get them on the CBD oil, it was amazing the progress she made. And to deny someone like that, look, I can live without CBD oil, I'll take an ibuprofen. But I mean, children like that, to deny that, that's just selfish and frankly rude. Come on.
It is an immoral argument.
It is.
And we have, in fact, people who claim that they are making a moral argument about preventing legalization, when in fact they are prohibiting medicine from children and other innocents. It is one of the most immoral things that we have. Now, with respect to these medicines in Tennessee, Representative Faison and my board members, who are mothers of epileptic children, did pass a CBD oil bill. There's a CBD oil bill that, in addition to the industrial hemp legalization aspect, in 2014 they passed a bill that made possession of CBD oil bill legal if you have a diagnosis of epilepsy in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
My board members have 2 4- and 5-year-old children who take this medicine religiously, and it is the most effective medicine. Here's the thing. My board members were set there, and these FDA medicines, they had to sign a waiver stating they knew that the medicine may make their child blind. Blind. And the average bill for under 10 care for this is about $20,000 a month. There are 5,000 children in Tennessee with epilepsy. Nearly all of them are going to be on TennCare. Who can sustain a $20,000 a month bill? In Colorado, the Slomeski family, who you may very well have been the family that you interviewed.
Right. A little girl, right?
Little girl. They spend about $50 a quarter, or about $200 a year.
They sent me video of her. I saw her before here, and she was basically a vegetable, and because of the meds they were giving her.
Absolutely.
And they were so powerful. And the ones there, she was alert. I mean, not back to where she needs to be, but the seizures reduced dramatically.
Yes, and that's been the experience of my board members.
When I saw that, that's all I needed to see.
And so many other families in Tennessee. You see, it's not that it's just a good medicine. It's superior to many of the FDA medicines, and herein lies the financial problems. We have a whole industry that has their grasp on the United States Congress that cannot be shook loose.
We're talking about pharmaceuticals.
Pharmaceutical industry controls the United States Congress.
Meanwhile, we have an opioid epidemic, a legal pill, and no one, please, try to tell me that opioids are safer than marijuana. If you're saying that, just turn off the TV and go stick your head in a hole in the ground. Let's take some phone calls. Let's go to Tommy. Tommy, good morning. Are you there, Tommy?
Yes, good morning, Nick.
Good morning. Go ahead, sir.
Let me turn my TV down.
Okay.
Yes, I've been waiting on this conversation. I've been around the marijuana thing since the late 60s, early 70s. I've used it. I've used it for medication. I got hurt real bad and didn't have no insurance and nothing else. And the thing of it is, when you're using it after a certain period of time, it's like anything else. It gets sort of, just what don't work. And people don't understand that. And my problem is people don't understand the revenue that it's going to produce here in the state of Tennessee to help a lot of people also.
But you're saying it's definitely helped you.
Oh yes.
With pain relief?
Yes, with pain and I have stomach issues and stuff. And I can't see, but I don't understand why people don't want to help people, you know. And like you said, the pharmaceutical has their hands on this.
Yeah, he brings up a point. It's peripheral to this, but the revenues, the idea of decriminalizing a certain degree of it, the monies that would come in, the tax dollars. I mean, we're beginning to see this in states like California and Denver and Colorado and all of that, right?
Well, as a CPA, I can share a few financial numbers with you with respect to this. And Tommy, I'm so sorry for your illness, and I too have found great relief in cannabis as a medicine. So the illegal market for marijuana in the state of Tennessee is about $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
It is far and away our largest cash crop. Now that $1.5 billion remains outside the primary taxation that we have in the state of Tennessee. We have all these, really, it's difficult to describe it any other way than incompetent law enforcement leadership who claim they're tracking diversion. But the real issue with making this legal as a medicine is that we would be diverting between $200 and $500 million in revenue to the industry, making it legal, and at a tax rate of right under 10%, we're looking at $20 to $25 million of free cash flow directly taken out of illegal drug dealers' pockets and put into the state coffers. That's the diversion that's going to happen with medicinal. The idea that we're going to have more diversion into the illegal market is cluelessness. It's $1.5 billion market already.
Right.
They're doing, law enforcement has no capacity.
Wait, you're saying some people are arguing that if you were legalized medical marijuana, it would make the criminal enterprise larger?
Yes.
How on earth, where's the logic in that?
There is no logic in that.
It's absurd.
This is the problem that we have in law enforcement leadership. We need a wholesale change out in this leadership
it's a
because
mindset,
we have this thinking that goes along these lines around diversion, and it's perverse. It is perverse thinking.
Let's go to Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hey, good morning, guys. Nick, David.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brian.
I was wondering, has anybody done a thing about Colorado and California? The crime rate, has it gone down? Is the opioid use, has it decreased any in those states? I mean, because I was told that it would help people that's in pain, and it would pretty well shut the heroin addicts down. Do you think there's any logic to that? And I'll get off here.
I don't know about heroin addicts, but yeah, a lot of people and law enforcement has voiced to me, well, Nick, you're going to see not too long now some of the ill effects of legalizing the marijuana in these other states and the problems, be it driving while impaired, other types of things. What type of feedback are we getting at this point? Still early in the game for all these states.
Well, again, this notion that there will be more problems is simply a falsehood promoted by law enforcement who has a financial interest in this.
Would you agree it is an issue on how you gauge, because you're still impaired if you're behind the wheel, if you've been smoking recreational marijuana, and that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. So, but here's the thing, with respect to this opioid issue, we know from studies, and there is no other solution that matches this. We save about 25% of the opioid overdose deaths. That would be over 400 Tennesseans. If you will, in states that have access, medical dispensary access, we see about a 25% reduction in opioid scripts and opioid deaths.
Because they can go for medical marijuana to deal with their pain.
Absolutely. Now, it isn't going to save the average person shooting up heroin off the street, but your Aunt Betty, who doesn't maybe know that she has alcoholism in her family and she's taking those pills and gets addicted, we might be able to save that person. And we're talking about 400 lives, a 25% reduction in both scripts and deaths. And yet we still have these falsehoods about it being worse for our society. They are simply not true.
Let's go next to Grady. And Grady, again, I'm so sorry for your loss, Grady.
Hey, Nick, I appreciate the condolences there. But, we got state legislatures down there. One the other day was the doctor, the other was the pharmacist. The doctor says we need more studies. The druggist, he don't want to drop off his opium sales. And, we're killing more people than we did with opium than we had in the Vietnam War. They got to get their heads out of the sand and start thinking like real adults. And I'll hang up with your comments this morning.
Thank you, Grady. His question, I was going to hit on this, and I'm glad he brought that up. I do hear, and it makes me scratch my head, critics saying, well, I still need to see the scientific evidence. Now, I do know because of the federal law making it illegal, it's been difficult in the past, has it not, to run really big studies because of the illegalities. But when someone says to you, look, I'd consider this, David, but I really need some more hard research that this is really proven effective. What do you say?
So there's a couple of points on this. First, let me say condolences, Grady. I'm so sorry to hear of your loss. I myself I've only been married 42 years. I couldn't imagine the pain that you're going. So condolences to you, sir. Now, with respect to this issue of more research, if you look at MedPub Online, which is the official place to register peer-reviewed research, there are over 28,000 peer-reviewed research articles on this subject. This is a complete falsehood that more study is needed. Man has used this medicine for 4,000 years. It is the longest clinical trial ever. Now, we don't have academic freedom in the United States, and this is a shocking thing to say as an American. We don't have academic freedom.
What do you mean?
We don't have the freedom to study the cannabis plant.
Well, because
it is illegal for the university to possess.
Well, cannabis, not hemp. Hemp is what's happening, but cannabis, because of the federal law.
Broadly, broadly, to do the type of double-blind studies is generally illegal. We're just now starting. And here's the thing. The people who are against this are completely controlling the research budgets. We spent $1 billion on anti-marijuana research in this country. What did we get for our $1 billion? A patent on CBD by the Department of Health and Human Services.
They have a patent.
They have a patent. That's what we got for our $1 billion. Many of those studies are complete falsehoods, as we see when we see all the research being done out of Canada, particularly Israel. All the great research is being done out of this. You realize these cannabis products are now standard items in Israeli pharmacies. It is a standard item in Canada Health. The United States has fallen behind in cannabinoid
again,
science
as we go
research.
to the break, and you wonder why, well, it's the long-held misinformation going back to Reefer Madness in the 30s, and it's money. And you're wondering where the culprit is here when everything he's saying, and there may be some out there that maybe want to challenge some of the things he said, and we're trying to find critics of the plan right now, and it's hard to get them to come on. I'll tell you that, critics of the idea of it. But the bottom line on all of this is that, I mean, you've got, you know, the marijuana out there right now, and recreational, no one is saying let's go that way, but medical marijuana, you're up against big money, and that's what's shutting it down.
Absolutely.
It's big money and the pharmaceuticals that want to protect their bottom line. Because there's no other rational argument except that someone is protecting a cash cow somewhere, and that cash cow is opioids and other things that medical marijuana would take away from. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more of your calls right after this. So long.